Hello, I'm Kristen Oaks-White. Avery Davidson will be joining us later in the show. Helping to shape the future, Louisiana Farm Bureau young farmers and ranchers traveled to Washington, D.C. this week to meet with policymakers to share their personal stories. The current hot topics include labor wages, disaster relief, and eliminating red tape. Josh Meeks is at the nation's capital to tell us about the importance of these meetings.
Kristen, we're here in Washington, D.C., and as you can see, the weather's not great, but we're here with 8 young farmers and ranchers because this is truly where the rubber meets the road for Farm Bureau. They're hoping their stories and struggles will help shape the policy that comes out of this building that helps farmers across the state. Unfortunately, most members of Congress were not in the district for this trip, but congressional staff members brought their notepads and recommendations. In all, this group saw 6 of Louisiana's 8 delegates. Together, these farmers represent all areas of the state. The Duncans from Rapides Parish, the Lees from Vermilion Parish, the Gerasas from St. Landry Parish, Raquel Manuel of Evangeline Parish, and Kirtland Carey from Grant Parish. They shared stories of dry crawfish ponds, struggles to pay workers, and the all too restrictive red tape. It's a lot of work stretched across long days, but it's important to ensure that agriculture is allowed to thrive. These members also got to tour the Capitol, and thanks to Louisiana's new position at the top of the House of Representatives, also got exclusive access to the rarely seen Speaker's balcony.
They've been a part of their local level and worked their way up into the state level, and all these were state committee members. And so we talk about it, we train about it, but putting into action is a whole different ballgame. And they did so well. It's a testament to all of our staff and other leaders that they're following in behind that have shown them how to do this. But there's no experience like coming up to D.C. and just the access as Americans that we get to walk in the halls of Congress through a little security and get to go tell them what's going on in Louisiana with agriculture, and it always makes an impact.
Now, this was just a taste of this D.C. trip. We're going to hear from these young farmers and ranchers on next week's show. The things that they want to see changed, the policies, those personal stories that we talked about. For now, reporting from Washington, D.C. for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm Josh Meeks.
Now, Josh, this was your first trip to D.C. as well, so what did you think?
That's right, and while it's not great right now, I gotta say I really did have a wonderful time on this trip. We're literally in the shadow of the Washington Monument, the Capitol behind us. You know, I was walking right by the White House the other day, and President Joe Biden flew literally right over my head in Marine One. I mean, the history that's here, it's so rich and just surrounds you. And that's just part of it, you know, coming here and getting to experience, you know, the changes that they're trying to enact with Farm Bureau is really what it's all about.
Glad you enjoyed the trip. We're looking forward to hearing from our young farmers and ranchers in next week's story. Well, Louisiana has the highest percentage of its ag labor force in the H-2A program in the country. Still, finding labor for farms can be tough. TWILA's Keely Ana Strickland takes us to the MidSouth Agricultural Labor Seminar in Port Allen, Louisiana, where Farm Bureau is helping farmers navigate this tough issue.
Farmers and ranchers from across the South gathered together to discuss farm life, how to get involved in legislature, and everything in between. Troy Romero is the Louisiana State Representative for District 37. He serves as chairman of the Agriculture, Forestry, Aquaculture, and Rural Development Committee. Romero addressed labor issues concerning H-2A and H-2B workers with the group.
The most serious labor issue right now would be getting those workers in from other countries. Like I said, we have a low unemployment rate right now in the state, but still people are not necessarily going back to work, and they don't want to necessarily do those difficult jobs that we get the migrant workers to come in and do. So labor is a big issue.
Romero says he advocates for these farmers to the federal government since there is not much he can do on the state level, but regulation is not the only challenge. Labor cost increases compound the negative effects of recent weather conditions.
And look, this state has gone through some severe issues with Mother Nature over the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, hurricane after hurricane, drought, fires, freezes, just one thing after another. So the farmers, and they're trying to manage, and it's very difficult to manage when your costs are going up.
As if the tough weather conditions aren't enough, farmers are trying to stay afloat while the cost of labor increases. That's true also for Katie Ramagos Nunez, a fourth-generation sugarcane farmer and chairman of the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation Labor Advisory Committee.
Especially this past year, but just over the last several years, it's just been a steady increase to the point where family farms are starting to go out of business because they just simply cannot afford that high wage that is imposed on them just to be able to get their workers.
Nunes urges farmers to get involved and speak to legislators on the necessity of H-2A and H-2B workers on farms. Without these workers, there may come a time when domestic farming is a rarity.
The main message is that everyone needs to come together, have the same message that if we don't have a foreign workforce, we're going to have a foreign food supply.
For This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, I'm Keely Ana Strickland reporting from Port Allen.
Now, according to the USDA, the majority of H-2A workers service farms with seasonal crops such as fruit and tree nuts or vegetables and melons. Here in Louisiana, many of our crawfish farms employ foreign workers to help harvest and peel crawfish. Now, as you're probably aware, crawfish season is looking much different this year than in years past. But there are crawfish out there, and that seems to be improving every day. As more seasonal workers arrive on Louisiana farms and the spring weather continues, there should be more crawfish available for your backyard boil. If you're in Monroe, you can find some at Riverside Coney Island for $6.99 a pound live and $8.51 a pound boiled. In Alexandria, Tom's Seafood has live crawfish for $5.89 a pound and boiled crawfish is $7.99 a pound. In Lake Charles, Cody's Crawfish Shop has live bugs for $6.99 a pound and you can get them boiled for $9.99 a pound. As we tell you often, the best place to get crawfish, in our opinion, is from the farmers directly. If you know one or can find one in your community, reach out to them. Supporting these farmers directly is so important now more than ever. These crawfish prices are brought to you by the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board, which reminds you to always eat Louisiana crawfish and to make sure you ask before you eat. Louisiana is known by many as sportsman's paradise. From the saltwater fishing in the Gulf to waterfowl hunting in the rice fields and timber breaks, Louisiana really lives up to that name. In this edition of How You Grow Louisiana, sponsored by First South Farm Credit, TWILA's Karl Wiggers takes us to St. Francisville, Louisiana, where a landowner is planting trees on his slice of paradise.
These wide open fields will not look like this for long. These men are planting more than 40,000 trees today on this property, just north of St. Francisville. Jeff Sanders is a forestry consultant who worked with the landowner to design this plan.
So on the front end, we're going to be planting some loblolly pine, and that's to create a buffer to give this landowner some privacy. And then we're going to strategically plant hardwood throughout the tract to extend corridors, widen corridors, and create patches where they got prime time deer bedding habitat.
These hardwood trees being planted along this drainage valley will help create that valuable habitat for wildlife and preserve the structure of the soil as water drains through this part of the land.
Part of the reason we plant trees is for wildlife habitat, wildlife corridors. It creates bedding, it creates cover for different wildlife species. But trees also act as a water filter. They sequester carbon. They act as a good buffer for privacy, and it's also used for timber products. Most of the work when it comes to planting pine trees is for production timber. The hardwood is more geared for either government programs such as CRP, WRP, or for wildlife purposes.
That production timber is the #1 agricultural commodity in Louisiana. Now, while that is not the goal on this property, Sanders says adding trees will absolutely add value to this land.
One of the biggest factors that is pushing the value of property is recreation. So the higher quality of animals that you can have on that property, the higher the value the property is going to be. A piece of property where you can go kill a 160-inch deer is worth more than one you can go kill a 120-inch deer on, significantly more.
In St. Francisville, Louisiana, I'm Karl Wiggers for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
How You Grow Louisiana is brought to you by First South Farm Credit. First South is how you grow. Well, spring planting season is getting ready to kick off nationwide, and Louisiana is one of the first states to get in the field. As TWILA's Neil Melancon tells us, farmers are facing some tough decisions this year on what to plant and how to survive.
Spring is popping up everywhere in Louisiana right now, and that means farmers are getting ready to get back into the fields. What they will plant remains a big question for grain farmers in particular. It looks like right now conditions favor growing soybeans over corn, according to Greg Fox, a grain marketing specialist with the Louisiana Farm Bureau Marketing Association.
You're going to potentially see a little bit more milo this year because we're seeing some really strong bases out there for milo, and guys want to rotate that bean land. From what I've been told, milo is a great crop to rotate on top of beans. So I think you're going to see some change there. And a lot of it's just going to be what their banker tells them. You know, I can give you so much money, but you need to grow beans because your profitability is going to be better with the bean on the bean side. So I think you're going to see more soybeans in Louisiana this year.
Regardless of what wins the acreage battle, there's a large South American crop hanging over the markets, Fox says.
But overall, you're still looking at a huge South American crop. And China right now is looking to them for it because they're willing to sell it cheaper. And there's just so much of it. So that is hurting us too, that we're just not seeing the business on the bean side that we typically see.
Also giving us a hangover, regardless of what crop is grown, is higher input costs. While they've flattened or reduced, they're coming off record highs, according to economist Rob Johansson.
The inflation itself, which would be the price from last year compared to this year, is flattening out, which is a good thing, but prices still remain high. So as long as those prices are high, we got to make sure that the price we're receiving in the marketplace is able to cover those costs.
Johansson says one thing we can do is make a farm bill that works for farmers.
It's also looking for their Title I commodity programs to be more reflective of the current economic environment that they're operating in. So that's one thing that we're certainly focused on. In terms of the market, producers obviously here in Louisiana are coming off of a very bad drought year, which affected some producers quite severely. So I think looking into 2024, crop insurance decisions are going to be important. We saw certainly the normal yield insurance paying out right now to cover those.
And while prices are down for commodities, they're not going down at the grocery store anytime soon. Fox says much like higher prices for input costs have stuck around, food prices won't see much change anytime soon.
To still get that product from the farm to the stores, or the processors then to the stores, you know, fuel prices are extremely high still for diesel, trucking is high. So I wouldn't think you're going to see much of a relief in the market and the grocery stores anytime soon.
On March 31st, the USDA will release its prospective plantings report, the first big indication of what the country will be putting in this year. Of course, a lot can change between now and the actual planting. And Kristen, I know that Landon, your husband, is going to be putting in a lot of soybeans this year, but can't be happy with the way prices are this year versus last.
Well, I was going to say, I figured that you were going to ask me something about, are they deciding what to plant? And it's never, there's no decisions to be made because they're strictly soybeans at this time. But yes, I've constantly watched him look at the markets, and so those are the decisions that are being made, is when to book, what prices. I think they thought that prices would be a little bit higher based on the prices at the end of last season. So hopefully
it'll come back up.
Yeah, he's always looking for some, he's hoping that a lot of people decide to plant corn.
Well, yeah, and I hope that too. It doesn't sound like it, but what I'm hoping for is that we'll start getting these beans moving. And that's the big thing, is if we can get them moving back to China, then we'll get a good basis. And even if the price stays low, they'll still be able to get, you know, some good basis out of that.
But you hit the nail on the head. It's a very stressful time at the White household right now.
I bet it is. And I know one of the things is that, you know, just like we're facing higher prices at the grocery store that have stuck around, so are they, you know, with fuel and fertilizer and all that good stuff.
It's a real fun time to be in farming, to say the least. But Neil Melancon, thanks so much for giving us that pertinent update. Well, Louisiana Farm Bureau President Jim Harper's current term will be his last. He announced this week that he will not seek re-election this year as he moves to spend more time with his family. Harper was elected to the position in June of 2020 and has been instrumental in the organization's leadership in his 25 years of service on the board of directors. The voting delegates will elect a new president at the Louisiana Farm Bureau Convention this June. Still to come on TWILA, we catch up with the leader of the LSU AG Leadership Program, Dr. Bobby Soileau. Stay with us.
You're watching This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
One thing that is important in agriculture is leadership. We need more leaders to make sure that farmers and ranchers can continue to do what they do so that all of us can eat and be sheltered. Joining me now is Dr. Bobby Soileau with the LSU Ag Center. He's the director of the LSU Ag Leadership Program. Dr. Soileau, thanks for joining us here on TWILA.
Great to be here, Avery.
Let's talk a little bit about the program itself. It's a 2-year program, and you're going into Class 19 now. What do you hope those participating in the program come out with?
Well, Class 18 right now is in their second year, and as you said, we're going to put an application out by this summer for Class 19. What we want ultimately are better spokespeople for Louisiana agriculture. That could be in whatever industry they're in. That's just a wide range. It could be the agribusiness sector, and Louisiana Farm Bureau would be a part of that agribusiness sector that we talk about. It could be people who are in any of the commodities that are leaders in our state. And that ranges from the forestry industry all the way to sugar, cotton, grains, beef cattle, you name it. We have a lot of people that are represented throughout with a lot of great commodities in our state. Ultimately, we want them to be prepared to tell their own story and to be active in the process. And that's part of what we're doing here at Farm Bureau. We're learning a little bit more about the process that has an impact on their lives, whether it's legislatively or through other issues, and being able to be better communicators and being able to share with the general public or the important people that have an impact on their lives.
It's quite a commitment, 2 years and about, 45 days on the road roughly. What do you suggest someone think about if they want to enter this program?
Well, what we want are people that want to be active and have a voice. That's what we want more than anything else. And we want it in every industry in the state in terms of agriculture, forestry, natural resources. The commitment is a very serious commitment. We get that, and we tell our people we want to make that time valuable for them. Ultimately, the side benefit of this, and I say it's a side benefit, it's really an intentional benefit. They learn more from each other than they'll ever learn from an educator like myself. I would love to say the opposite as an educator, but the most important thing is the vast knowledge that each and every one of them have. It's this unique opportunity for them to get to know each other, to network with each other. That network will last for the rest of their careers. As you know, you still network heavily with your class from Class 15. And that is one of the greatest benefits of this program. You see people from the very first class that started in 1988, they are still networking with each other to this day. And that is such a valuable benefit. And that's why organizations like Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation have benefited from this program. And they have been an integral part of this program in so many ways. And we're really grateful for the partnership throughout.
Yeah, many of the leaders in Louisiana Farm Bureau have gone through the program. If someone wants to get involved, how can they do that, Dr. Soileau?
Well, they can contact us, Ag Leadership, and our website is lsuagcenter.com/ag leadership. You can see our contact information there. You can reach out to us. Our application will go out this summer, right before convention. We'll be taking this group to Washington, D.C. and Gettysburg in that summertime. And then later on, we'll have another seminar later this year. And more importantly, the culmination of the trip will be international, and you all will be with us. We'll be going to the Netherlands and Brussels. There are a lot of big issues going on there, and it's going to be a fascinating trip. And we're really looking forward to it so that our people can understand what's happening on the worldwide scene and how that can maybe one day impact us. So we're looking forward to a great opportunity.
Well, we look forward to working with you more in the future, Dr. Soileau. He's Dr. Bobby Soileau, the director of the LSU Ag Leadership Program. And if you want to be a part of the next class, you'll find a link on our website at twilatv.org. Stay with us. We have a whole lot more of This Week in Louisiana Agriculture coming up.
I don't mind coming to work. And in fact, my wife keeps saying, "Are you going to retire?" And I said, "No, why would I retire when I enjoy what I do? Making ice cream every day." My name is Quinten Quinlivan, and I'm the owner of Quintens Natural Ice Cream.
We are at Quintens Natural Ice Cream and Sorbet in New Orleans, and this is a certified Louisiana company.
Hey!
Good to see you. How are you, Quinten?
Quinten.
Good to see you, Quinten.
Nice to
Thank
meet you.
you.
We're making some ice cream right now. It should be ready in about 7 minutes. We're in New Orleans, and our plant's here in the Irish Channel. We've been making ice cream since '98. We originally actually started at the old Gold Seal Dairy out in Mid-City. So I had learned some ice cream tricks from the Satanas that had owned the Gold Seal. And in fact, my formula that I use to make my Creole cream cheese ice cream is the old Gold Seal's Dairy's formula. Here at Quintens Ice Cream, we have 2 batch freezers that we make ice cream out of. This is the smaller unit. It does 5 gallons of ice cream. Then we have our big Bertha, and that one, we can produce 3 3-gallon tubs in less than 12 minutes. You like to see the inside of the unit? Inside these units, there are big blades. There's a beating blade that goes around, and it freezes the product of the ice cream inside of it. Just typical like your old-fashioned ice cream machines. We make ice cream, sorbets, sherbets, and specialty ice cream desserts like baked Alaskas. Our new item is Screamer's ice cream sandwiches.
Wow, look at
This
that.
is our new product. It's our Screamer. It's a chocolate chip ice cream sandwich with our vanilla bean ice cream. It's taken me over a year to get my formula correct on my chocolate chip cookie ice cream where it's nice and soft. Would you like to try some?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Very proud of it.
Mm-hmm. We should be.
When the buzzer goes off, I'll have to check the condition of the ice cream, and I'll have to open it up and look at it and make sure that it's properly frozen and we're at the correct consistency. Then we're going to open up the chute, and there we go. There's our vanilla bean ice cream coming out. We're filling up our 3-gallon tub ice cream.
Wow.
Our ice cream here will go into our big freezer.
Okay.
And from there, it needs to stay in there for 10 hours so it freezes solid.
So it gets hard.
Hard. And that way we'll have small ice. The ice crystal will be small, and our ice cream will be nice and creamy after that.
Wow.
Vanilla bean ice cream made in New Orleans.
When you use local ingredients as a certified Louisiana company, let me tell you what you get. You get a taste of Louisiana.
I think my secret is my love for ice cream, to be honest.
So buy fresh, buy local, buy certified Louisiana. Buy products like Quintens Natural Ice Cream and Sorbet for a taste of Louisiana. Certified Louisiana's Crawfish Tales with Commissioner Mike Strain was brought to you by the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry Certified Louisiana Program. For information about the Certified Louisiana, Certified Cajun, Certified Creole, Certified Craft Beverage, and the Certified Farm to Table Logo Program, visit certifiedlouisiana.org or ldaf.la.gov. Support Louisiana families. Look for Certified Louisiana logos at your favorite grocery, restaurant, or farmer's market. Buy Louisiana. It's the way to grow.
Well, there's a new player in the country music scene, and it's taking the farming and Western world by storm. Beyonce has entered the conversation and is the first black woman to hit the top of the Billboard country chart. Her newest singles, Texas Hold'em and 16 Carriages, released earlier this month, have garnered a ton of attention. Texas Hold'em is a catchy tune that has many dancing on social media repping a cowboy hat and boots, a fashion accessory that's pretty common on Louisiana farms and ranches. Love it or hate it, this superstar's venture into country music only confirms what those of us here at TWILA already know, that farmers and ranchers, the folks who make their living off the land beneath their feet, are an inspiration to us all. Well, that does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week when we'll have more from the young farmers and ranchers' visit to Washington, D.C. Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org, and be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find all of these stories and more on our YouTube channel, so be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you know exactly when we put out new content. For all of us here at TWILA, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.